This is where we go back and take a look at the reviews that we did over the past week and tell you what we think of them. Short snippets, and you can find links to the full reviews in the description. A couple things, because this is a vacation holiday week of sorts, American Thanksgiving. Z wasn't able to do his week in review, but I'll get him to do it in the future one. And because of us going to PAX Unplugged last weekend, I didn't do one for last week, so I'm going to do all my reviews that I did last week and this week together. But first, here's Sam.
Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. Last week, and a little bit of the week before that, I reviewed, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, possibly expansions as well. Let's talk about them. So here's what I got. I did a review of Doodle Rush, a party game, lightning quick, 6-minute sketching game. I liked it. It's silly. It's a fun sort of burst of energy. The rules are, again, you have 2 rules in the whole game, but I enjoyed it for what it is and what it does. It does very well in a very clean way. I liked it. I reviewed Cannon Buster, which is a family weight game as well, in which you are collecting sets of cards. Some of those cards are cannons, and you blow up each other's sets. And it's a very light game. It's got a beautiful pirate theme on it. Well done components. I liked it. I think it's one that, for the length of time, which is actually very short, gives you a fun amount of choices and interaction. I reviewed Dragonfire. This is a big box game, sort of an epic D&D based story, cooperative deck building game, based on Shadowrun Crossfire that came out some years ago. This is, again, an epic game. It's got a lot going on. I think for the crowd that likes delving deep into one game, I think this is going to be a good one. Very good one. I think it's not a very good casual game, so if you're someone that goes through a lot of games, or you're not necessarily someone that goes deep into one game, this isn't really for you, but I would still recommend you take a look at it. Maybe it'll hook you. I reviewed Zularedo Duel. This, of course, is a Zularedo version for 2 players. It's a card-driven, tug-of-war style game. I liked it very much. My main concern is that the game, I think, does not have a lot of replayability. I think you won't be coming back to it as much as I, for one, have come back to Zularedo. But it's fun. I still enjoyed the game, and it does the tug-of-war style card game in a neat and straightforward way. I reviewed Matterhorn. This is a dice game, push your luck dice game that feels in many ways like the classic Can't Stop from Sid Sackson. And in it, you are simply, rolling your dice and moving up the mountain, Matterhorn. But there's some clever things with the dice manipulation and some clever things where you can block other people's paths up said mountain. Really liked it. It was shorter than I expected it to be, so I like that. It's like people were just sort of raced up there before they might have to do it before you're ready for them to have done it. So I like that. And I thought it has a stark look. It has very few components. It's very compact. It's a neat push your luck game. For me, it replaces Can't Stop. I also reviewed That's a Question, a party game from CGE and the same designer as Codenames. I think this is a proper party game with questions and answers and the kind of vibe that's going to get a lot of conversation going, which is what you want in a party game. This one is a winner. I like it very much. I enjoy the way it's put together. The concept is straightforward enough, but it's going to be one that's going to generate laughter, discussion, moments of, that kind of thing. Love it. Really great game. And then lastly, I reviewed an expansion to Neuroshima Hex, the new army called Iron Gang. And these guys are sort of marauders, sort of, bike mounting, chain wielding maniacs out there. Think Mad Max, right? And they're great. It's a really neat faction. I think it feels in many ways, besides having a couple of twists, it feels in many ways like a classic faction. It's one that I would recommend to someone just now getting into Neuroshima X and wanting a little more. This is not a bad one to get as a next step. It's not as complicated as some of the other ones out there. So that's it for me. I will see you next time.
Hey folks, welcome back to another week in review. We did 3 Miami Dice videos for you this week. First one was for Majesty. It's a game by Marc-Andre of Splendor fame. And this one I liked a lot more than Splendor, so I gave this one a 7. Did not like Splendor much at all, but I enjoyed this one a lot, so go check that review out. Also did one for Otis. This is another, of course, Miami Dice. Otis is a deep sea scavenging themed game. It's kind of puzzly, but I like the puzzly aspect of it because there's a lot of interaction between players. So I gave this one an 8. Really enjoyed this one a lot. So go check that Miami Dice video out for all of our thoughts and stuff like that on it. Then we also did one for the new Ticket to Ride expansion set, map collection set for France and the Old West. We reviewed both of the boards, and I have to say that this is probably one of my favorite expansions for Ticket to Ride thus far. I liked both of the maps for different reasons, and I liked both of them equally. So this one gets a 9 from me. I really enjoyed this one a lot. So go check that out. Also did an informational video for you this week for new villain pack for Imperial Assault, Star Wars Imperial Assault from Fantasy Flight, and that was Maul, Seeker of Vengeance. And you probably know him better as Darth Maul, but Maul is his non-apprentice motif, I guess you could say. Anyway, I show you what's in that blister pack, and so hopefully you can make a better decision as far as whether or not you're going to add it to your collection. Then I did 3 reviews on my own this week. We did Gateway Uprising, which was a area-controlled deck-building game, which was fun enough for what it is, but I wanted the area control aspect to be a little bit more prevalent than it was. It was kind of in the background. You actually could ignore it and still do well in the game. So this one fell a little bit short for me. I gave it a 6 out of 10. And then did Dojo Kun, also from CMON. And this one is a worker placement game that where you're taking your fighters and trying to build them up as much as possible for the season's end championship tournament. And then all of the different fighters are pitted against each other in a tournament, and you get points depending upon where you place in that tournament. And then another round is played for another season, and so forth and so on. But it's a cool worker placement game. It's got a really neat theme on it, so I liked it. But it's probably at the lower end of my worker placement likes, and so I gave it a 7, which is still pretty good. I enjoy it. I just think that there's some weird things about it. Go watch the review. You'll see what I mean. And then finally, I did a review for Small World expansion called Sky Islands. This is the new one that's just coming out from Small World, and I really enjoyed this expansion. I like the fact that it comes with a new double-sided board that can be used to kind of spice up your game a little bit, and it also comes with, I believe, 7 new races and 7 new powers as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff in the box. I think it's definitely worthy of your consideration. Gave it an 8 out of 10 as far as that's concerned. But that's it for me this week. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
Okay, so for me, first we'll start with a really bad game, Soggy Doggy. This is one where there's a little dog that shakes water on you for kids. I like kids games, but this one doesn't work on a lot of levels. One of the reasons is that the machine doesn't work very well, and other than that, it's just roll and move. Also, wasn't a really big fan of Pit Crew. Pit Crew is a game from Jeff Engelstein where you're racing cars around. You're playing cars as quickly as you can from your hand. Think almost like any speed game where you play cards. And then when you're done, you roll dice to move your car around the track. Just was too frenetic for me, and it just felt super lucky. Flea, this is one of the Friedman Freese games in the Fast Forward series. I like them all except this one. This one feels like a puzzle, a very puzzly sort of puzzle. It feels like it doesn't have that many, like you have to play a very specific way, and I wasn't really having fun playing it. Cover Me, this is a game about making a magazine cover. I really like the theme of this game, but it just felt like you were playing the same cards, moving tracks over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Spoilers, the beginning. This is an interesting one. It's a sequel to Spoilers, in which you are going to read some people a funny movie, and they have to answer questions about it. You assign each answer points, and they have to guess, is the answer I gave the most points to, the right answer or not? Am I trying to fool you? Not much beyond that. Not a ton of replayability. Word Rush, this is a fun game where you have a timer that you're placing on pieces, on letters that are on the board, and shouting out an answer that starts with that letter, and you keep going till the timer runs out because someone can't think of a word. It's good, not as good as another game I have called Tapple, but I think some people will like it. Richard the Lionheart, this is a team versus team, except only one person on the team can win. It's a good game, marred by the production's beautiful because it's CMON, but the board doesn't look as good as I think as it could be, and some people are not going to like that whole only one person on each team wins. Master's Trial, this is a good but difficult cooperative game, which is based on Dice City from AEG, same designer and all that, but this one has some good ideas. The problem is with the game is it's not as good, I think, as it could be, because there's a whole lot of cool stuff that you would like to be able to do, but you'll probably never get to do it. Who's the Dude? This is a really dumb game, but I really enjoy it, where it's basically you're doing charades with a blow-up dude guy. Ascension, Valley of the Ancients. Melody and I took a look at this one. It's a very simple version of Ascension, where basically the new action is there's some temples. When you play some cards, you'll get those temples, which are worth points at the end of the game and give you a special ability, so it's almost like a little bit of a tug-of-war with them. Dash, this was like a little thing for kids where they're sticking a device into these readers and just trying to do it. It's like an activity, fun physical activity for kids. Amun-Re, the card game. In Amun-Re, is one of my favorite games of all time. The card game is not quite as good, but it's still a nice little auction game where you're trying to collect sets and outbid each other with cards as your auctioning device. Newsfjord. This game is a solid game from Uwe Rosenberg. It's not one of his best. I think it's kind of in the middle of the pack. There's some interesting ideas. But, you know, it's the same thing as everything else. Building, I think there's a little fish movement mechanism, which I thought was a little wonky. But other than that, I think it's a very enjoyable game. Again, though, I'm not sure it offers anything really that different. Fairy Tile. I gave some first impressions of this upcoming game from Yellow. I think it's a possible Spiel des Jahres. It's on the recommended list. You're moving 3 pieces around, trying to get those pieces into a specific spot so you can get rid of story cards from your hand. Also, beautiful artwork. Fear. There's another from the Fast Forward series from Freedom and Freeze, but this one I really enjoyed. Think Uno, but the game evolves as you play it. So it gets more interesting each game you go in. I like it. Terraforming Mars, Venus Next. This is a new expansion for Terraforming Mars. Gives more cards, more corporations. That's it. I'm really happy with that, though, because that's exactly what I wanted. Altiplano, which is the sequel of sorts to Orleans. I don't think it's as good as Orleans, but since I consider Orleans to be amazing, you know, it's still pretty high. I like it a lot. I also did a video where I compared it to Orleans. I think the interaction is down Altiplano, but it does offer a lot more choices, too. So it's kind of a wash, but I think I like Orleans just slightly better. Dinosaur Island. I love this game. It's a worker placement game where you're building your own island and putting rides and dinosaurs in it, trying to get points, but not have the dinosaurs escape and eat your people. Really fun. And then Pulsar 2849. Wow, this game's good. It's a dice drafting point salad game, which honestly feels like it's designed by Stefan Feld. And yet I love it. I love the breadth of decisions in it. I love the way the game looks. I just really like everything about this. I'll never play it with someone with analysis paralysis, but other than that, it's a lot of fun. And that, folks, is the Week in Review. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.